The Steam Next Fest is upon us once again. For those not in the know, the Steam Next Fest is a celebration of upcoming games, quite literally hundreds of demos to try out. While many demos remain after the Next Fest period, other demos will go away after the period is over. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, there will still be a couple of days of the Next Fest, so do yourself a favor and try out some of the demos. As for me, I will be trying out some of these demos myself, and I'll be telling you about which demos I tried out and which demos I actually enjoy. If you've tried out any demos already, be sure to drop it down in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife. This helps me out immensely in the YouTube algorithm. So without further ado, here are the 10 Steam Next Fest demos that I tried out today. All games were tested out on Steam Deck, and all footage was recorded from a Steam Deck with the use of a capture card. If any of these games have any issues on the Steam Deck, then I'll let you know. The first demo I tried out was for a game called Crow Country. It's a PS1 styled horror game, described as a mix between Resident Evil 1 and Final Fantasy 7? How does that shake out? Oh, that's what they meant. They meant like the character models look like Final Fantasy VII chibis, the Overworld chibis. It's a classic style horror game very reminiscent of, say, the older Resident Evil titles. You have the choice between classic tank style controls and modernized analog stick controls. Like most horror games, you have to decide whether or not you want to fight or whether or not you want to try to run away from everything. Speaking of which, the aiming mechanics in this game are quite interesting. I don't believe I've played a tank style horror game with aiming controls like these. You can actually do some precise aiming. Want to aim for a specific limb? You can do so. Of course, it's no modern third-person shooter. It's not like Resident Evil 3, so the gun controls aren't as smooth and fluid as those, but given that this is supposed to be a PS1 styled horror game, this has more aiming than I'm used to in these types of horror games. If you're someone that likes horror, I suggest giving this game a shot. And yes, if you're wondering, there's a ton of inventory management that you have to do. This game works excellently on Steam Deck and is supposed to release sometime this year. I don't know when this year, but this year. The next demo on this list is a game called Nevergrave. If you're thinking this game looks very familiar to you, then that's because this game looks like Hollow Knight. This is a game developed by Pocket Pair, most infamously known for Palworld. The game may look like Hollow Knight but anime, but it's actually more like Dead Cells but anime. That's right, this is more of a roguelike than an actual Metroidvania. If you die, you go back to the beginning. It was a fun time. The game is extremely, and I mean extremely, uncannily similar to Hollow Knight in terms of aesthetics. But to be fair, Hollow Knight's aesthetic is a good aesthetic. That said, I thought it was a pretty fun game, but there's a ton of roguelikes and Metroidvanias out there now, so I'm not sure how this one will stand out. Maybe it'll stand out because it's made by the guys that made Palworld, but who knows. While the demo itself is explicitly single player, the final game is supposed to also have multiplayer features as well. I don't really know how this is supposed to work as a multiplayer game, but who knows, maybe it'll work out pretty well. The game works excellently on Steam Deck and is supposed to be released in Q1 of 2024. You know, sometime between January and March of this year. That said, the game will be launched in early access. The next demo I tried out was for a game called Virtua Unlimited Project, which is essentially Mega Man Zero but anime. Wait, that doesn't sound right. The game is also said to feature VTuber characters. Wait, do the developers have their own VTuber agency where they can make games based on these characters freely? That's kind of crazy. But anyways, this game is basically Mega Man Zero. I mean, come on, it's a good game. There's no shame in copying Mega Man Zero. In fact, I think more games should be inspired by Mega Man Zero as opposed to classic Mega Man, because I'm sick of classic Mega Man getting all of the love. Look, this highway stage is even basically just the intro stage for Mega Man X, and that one area from Mega Man ZX, which is basically a homage to Mega Man X. Aside from like a totally different aesthetic and like slightly different physics, there isn't really too much different between this and, say, the actual Mega Man Zero games. Well, actually, there's a flying kick, which is actually pretty cool. Speaking of which, it actually seems like it's more inspired by Kamen Rider. You've got the belt and the cards. Anyways, it's a pretty fun game though. I kinda wanna try out the full game when it releases, and I've been craving some new Mega Man action. The demo worked great on Steam Deck, though there's no definitive release date, so I don't really know when this game's supposed to come out. The next demo I tried out was Umbra Claw. It's the new Credit's platformer. As of right now, it's currently the most unique looking Credit's platformer that they've made. You take control of a cat, which has a lot of different powers. I probably shouldn't have skipped that one cutscene. All I really know for certain is that you're a cat that's died, and your goal is to get back to the real world. You unlock access to multiple different types of powers, many different types of attacks too, using what I presume are spirit animals. That said, the game does get faster when you unlock more of the powers. This could be a worthwhile action platformer, so I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled for this game to see if it's any good. The game works pretty well on Steam Deck, though sometimes the text was glitched, like when it's explaining all of the different powers and what they do, sometimes it just doesn't render. Thankfully, given that this is just a demo, they have time to fix this up for the full game itself. The game is slated for release on May the 30th, 2024. On the topic of Credit's, let's talk about Gunvolt Record's Chronicle. Full disclosure, I've never played any idol-based rhythm games. No Project Diva, no Love Live, no Idol Master, none of those games. Most of my rhythm game experience comes from playing Guitar Hero or playing Beatmania or DJ Max or whatever. Please disregard my bad playing here. The game is a lot more responsive when you play on the handheld, on the Steam Deck itself, instead of docking it and playing off of an OBS window, like I did. So I have played the Gunvolt games, and yes, the Gunvolt games have plenty of J-pop tunes in case you're actually good at the game. What really makes or breaks these types of rhythm games are the song selections, and the song selections are primarily limited to Gunvolt games from all the Gunvolt games and all the Luminous Avenger games. What the game actually needs, though, are some subtitles for the music. You know, I have a DJ rhythm controller made specifically for rhythm games, but due to the fact that this game actually uses like analog controls for some of the notes, I don't think I can play it with that. This will require more testing though. The game works pretty well on Steam Deck and is supposed to be released on February the 15th, 2024. On the topic of rhythm games, let's talk about probably the most unusual game I've ever tried. Let's talk about Aden. It's like a rhythm-based beat 'em up? I mean, I don't know how else I'm supposed to describe this game. It's the weirdest game I've ever played. It's not even really mechanically complex or even mechanically deep or anything. You know, the type of stuff I really enjoy in games. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what it is about this game, but I just like the game. I like the demo. It's so delightfully different, and I want more of it. I need more of it. The game works on Steam Deck, though in my experience it had some weird issues with external controllers, so I had to control it with the actual Steam Deck control itself. There is no concrete release date, and the demo is quite long, so you can experience a lot of the game yourself. This next demo is called sort of Valaria, I think it's called. It's a turn-based strategy game. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this would be like a regular indie turn-based strategy game, but it turns out it's actually a gacha game. Definitely a mobile game. I mean, you can see by the UI elements that it was basically designed for mobile, but you can play with a controller just fine. It's even got the most fun elements of gacha games, that being the actual gacha rolls. That's right. And yes, this also means you can pull rare units as well, though I'm guessing since you probably get her for free anyways, she's probably not as good as like some other characters you can pull in the gacha. Welfare characters aren't typically the best. You know, gacha elements aside, it seems like a pretty decent turn-based strategy game. Though with these sorts of live service and gacha games, it's very difficult to evaluate a game based on just early impressions. You would really have to evaluate a game based on the end game, and I'm definitely not there yet. Anyways, I played and even registered on Steam Deck. No, it doesn't require any typing or anything, it just requires syncing to your Steam account. It's supposed to be released sometime in 2024, though no definite date. And this next demo is yet another Yohane the Parhelion game. This time it's Numazu in the Mirage, which is really funny because there's a copious amount of anime Slay the Spire mods, like quite literally, because theoretically someone could bring Yohane into the actual Slay the Spire game as a mod. I suppose the real big issue with evaluating a card game demo is that there are so many cards that you probably will never see in the demo compared to the real game. As such, it is difficult to evaluate certain details like card variety, build variety, and, you know, just general replayability. But from the one playthrough I had a pretty decent setup with some level of synergy. It is a roguelike card game, so if you do die, you do have to start over again. Hopefully the full game will have a wide variety of different builds and different cards that you can have. You know, and also keywords too. Can't forget about keywords. The demo works, and you could probably play this with a touchscreen if you wanted. This demo might be the most intriguing demo I've tried out this Next Fest. This is Raw Metal. It's a roguelike stealth brawler. it has to be tried for yourself. The game is actually really cool. You can use stealth to get the jump on your enemies, but of course the core gameplay is the fighting. The core fighting mechanics are very solid. You can punch, kick, dodge, parry attacks, and juggle enemies as well. You can also set them up for devastating combos. Not to mention, you can find items and equipment to help you throughout the game. The game has a surprising amount of depth to it already, though I think additional movesets, like additional techniques you can learn, would be great. If you only have time to play one demo from this next fest, I recommend playing this demo right here. I want the full game now and I want to cover it as well. I suppose the only real warning I can give you is that the game can be unforgiving at times. With only 3 health points and the ability for enemies to gang up on you, it can be difficult. But if you learn how to fight and learn how to be patient, you too can overcome the challenges. And yes, HP does recover between battles. You can also exfiltrate gear so that you can be geared up for future runs. This game works great on Steam Deck. The last demo I'll cover today is a game called Dungeonborn. It's a PvPvE extraction dungeon crawler. Remember Dark and Darker? Remember that demo? Well, this is basically that, but available to play today and not being currently litigated by Nexon. Yes, it works on Steam Deck, but honestly, you're better off playing this on your main PC, if you have one that is. This game does not have intrinsic controller support, so you will have to set up controls for yourself. Or, more likely someone's already done that for you through Steam Input. But even with the ability to use Steam Input, I think full controller support would be greatly appreciated. Ideally, you want to play this with a party, so I'll have to play this on my own time with some of my own friends. There's a good chance I'll make a second Next Fest video for any additional demos I play. The Next Fest presents an interesting challenge. What games are worth playing? And these are the 10 games I tried out. These 10 games aren't the only demos worth considering, but they're the only demos I've tried out for now. And obviously I do plan on testing more demos out, and I'll let you know what I think about these additional demos. But there's still a couple of days before the Next Fest ends. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos. And if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.